Hey everyone, today we're going to be making chicken and homemade noodles, except for instead of chicken I'm using turkey because we froze some of it from Thanksgiving and this is the perfect way to use it up. This is what I tend to have the week after Thanksgiving for all of our friends on the weekend. My grandma actually is the one who came up with this recipe. She makes it a lot and it was always the meal that when we were coming back from the Philippines, because that's where I grew up, that we would come back and she would make chicken and homemade noodles. She normally served it with some peas on the side and some cranberry sauce. But today I'm just making a big old pot of chicken and homemade noodles. So join me and we'll make this together. Alright, so to start off with, I have all the broth from the carcass of the turkey that I boiled it for like 8 hours yesterday and then strained it off, so it's some really good rich bone broth, but it's cold right now because I kept it overnight in the fridge. So I'm just going to turn this on and let this come to a rolling boil. And then I also have some turkey. I'm going to go ahead and just add this in just to let it sit and marinate in the sauce. It looks kind of gross right now because it's all congealed and everything, but it's going to be delicious when we finish. So I'm going to let this boil and I'll see you in a few.
First, you're going to need all-purpose flour. I'm tripling the recipe, so I'm using 3 cups. I'm also putting in an egg per cup, so that's 3 whole eggs. You're going to crack each of the eggs into your bowl. Next, you're going to mix it a little bit just to help incorporate those eggs. Then you're going to add in a half a teaspoon of salt per cup. So I'm going to add in a teaspoon and a half of salt.
Now to add the milk, I'm going to start off with 1/4 of a cup of milk and we'll see if we need any more after that. Alright, I saw pretty quickly that I was going to need more milk, so I'm going to put in 2 more 1/4 cups. So in total I put 3/4 of a cup in.
If you're only doing a single batch of this recipe, you'll only need 1/4 a cup of milk. Next, you're going to liberally flour your surface, and I mean liberally. Then you're going to dump out your dough onto the surface. Try to keep everything coated well with flour. It will keep it from sticking to the board and your fingers.
Alright, freshly washed hands. We're just gonna roll this in the flour just to get it well coated. That will help us out with it not being so sticky. Yeah, there we go. It's starting to come together. Come together, noodles. Now you can make a much smaller batch of this. You could go down to I think 1 cup would be the easiest way. So you do a cup of flour, 1/4 a cup of milk, 1 egg, and a half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, this is looking pretty decent. Now I know that when I roll these out, I'm going to roll them out kind of thin. So I don't want to roll all of this out. So I'm going to actually divide it into small batches. And I think I'll start off with a batch this small. I'm going to put this one back in the bucket over here. And just focus on a little dude first. Alright, I gotta get my rolling pin out. Alright, I'm just gonna roll this out. If it starts sticking at any point, just add a little more flour. And flip it too. Flip it frequently if you can. Especially at the beginning where it's really making a lot of surface area, a lot of new surface area. So flip. Beautiful, beautiful. Alright, this is looking good. Now I was always a fan of a thicker noodle, so while I say I'm going to roll them out thinly, it's not as thin as maybe some people like their egg noodles. I just like them a little more dumpling-like than noodly, I guess. A nice thick noodle. Alright, this is looking great. And don't worry if
parts get a little thin. It's all gonna cook in the end and gonna be all good. One of the easiest ways I found to cut these is to use just a pizza cutter, and you just cut up like this, as thick or thin as you want these noodles. I like a good wide noodle, well, as I do a little baby noodle. Whoops. Yeah. And these can cook for quite some time without getting, you know, dry or disintegrating or all that. So actually, once my pot of broth has come to a boil, which it's almost there, I'm going to go ahead and drop these in one at a time as I'm making them, and just let them, like, I'll give it a good stir as I am dropping them in, and that will help them to stay separated so they don't become like one big clump of noodles at the bottom. Alright, as you can see, I've got my pot here. It's actually come to a little bit of a rolling boil, which, as long as it's hot, I don't want cold, congealed something or another. Then I'm going to start dropping these in. If I can get them up off of the mat. That's why you have to flour the mat. I know. But anyway. Well, these are kind of falling apart on me. Try to get something long from the center here. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. Now you can do several at a time. It doesn't matter too much, as long as they like get inside and kind of get stirred around, then you're good to go after that.
All the time, morning, evening, and midnight, such a wonderful delight. Forgo, give up everything that I own. Yeah, I'd give it all up now just to be.
Now the flour that's on the outside of the noodles is going to thicken this up, and it's going to get a lot thicker and be just delightful. I'm going to focus on rolling these out, putting these in here, and then I will see you in a few minutes. Alright, so this is looking really good. You can see that it's starting to get a little cloudy because that's flour from the outside of the noodles is starting to kind of melt into the broth, and it's starting to like get a little thicker and everything. I'm gonna go ahead, I tasted a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 of these and see how far that rose. I bet 3 would probably be good, but I'm gonna add 2 first because I don't want it to be too salty. I would recommend definitely, if you can, boil that carcass, because not only are you using a part that was already there, like it's free, but also you get all those nutrients from the bones in it, and also you get like something that tastes super fresh and not like it's been sitting on a shelf somewhere. So I'm gonna finish up the rest of these noodles. I have quite a bit of dough left, so a lot of noodles still to make. So I am gonna finish making these. I will show you the finished product because I think I'm probably just gonna add a little pepper actually, now that I think about it. But after I add a little of this pepper, I think it's gonna be good. These just have to cook and thicken the sauce up. So I will show you what the finished product looks like in a few minutes here. It's looking really good. You can see it really thickened up. I'm just gonna serve this with some fresh homemade rolls, and we're about ready to eat. I added some parsley in the end to about a half a teaspoon per cup, so about a teaspoon and a half for this whole big batch. Thanks for joining me in making this. I hope you enjoy and get to make it for your families. And if you do, comment below. Let me know what you think of this recipe.
So we just want to walk up to the doors one by one and check them out?
Yeah.
You're the leaves in